Hello, this is my Taro's teaching tips where I try and help any trainees or NQT to Bs with any questions or worries that they've got ready for the year ahead. Obviously I am going into my NQT in myself, so I'm just here to kind of give some advice on the kind of things I'm doing to prepare and then the kind of things that helped me in my training year. So I have got the fan on because it's really hot today, so I'm hoping that it's not going to be too loud in the background, but hopefully we'll be fine. Okay, so I'm going to start with the NQT to B questions first. So the first one is from Miss Saunders, and she has said, "It's been so long since I've taught, worried I will have forgotten everything." Yeah, I feel the same. I think hopefully it's going to be like riding a bike. So we're going to hopefully turn up in September and it will all come back to us and we'll know roughly what we're doing. Hopefully. I think kind of what I'm doing to overcome this fear is trying to make sure my plans are very kind of clear and concise so that I know exactly what I'm doing. There's kind of nothing that's going to come my way that I'm like, I don't know how to do this, can't remember. So I'm just trying to be as prepared as possible at the moment. I think the main thing is we need to be kind to ourselves. We need to remember that we did miss quite a lot of our training, so we're not going to go in September and be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing, because really we're not fully qualified or as qualified as we should have been. I think we also need to remember that there will be a lot of support around us, so people that are also teachers at our schools, we'll have our mentor. Obviously Instagram is a great place. There's lots and lots of support on here. People are always happy to help. So I think, yeah, even though we feel like we're not going to be as ready as we could be, there are a lot of people around to help us, so that's a really good thing. I also think that like other teachers are actually scared as well about going back. From like talking to teachers at my school, I spoke to my mentor and I was like, oh, I just feel scared because it's been so long since I've taught. But she was like, yeah, me too, to be honest. Obviously they are more experienced and it will probably come more easily for them when they get back into the classroom. But generally, you know, we're not the only ones that are worried about having not taught for such a long time. So I think, yeah, just the main thing is that we just can be as prepared as we can be, and then hopefully we'll feel a bit better come September, and then hopefully it will just come naturally to us. I'm sure it will. We passed the course, so we are obviously meant to be good teachers, so hopefully we'll be absolutely fine. So Miss Black's Backpack, she has asked for top tips for keeping on top of marking. So I think where possible, obviously live marking is the way forward. Try and get as much done as you can in the lesson. Also verbal feedback, I think personally, is the best kind of feedback you can give, because if you're giving it within the moment when they're actually doing the work, then straight away they can act upon it and kind of learn from it there and then. Whereas obviously if you're writing something in their book that they're then either not going to bother reading or won't necessarily understand without you explaining it properly to them, that's not going to be as effective. So yeah, verbal feedback where possible, live marking. Whole class feedback is also really good to do. So once you've kind of had a flick through the books or kind of taken stuff away from going around within the lesson, you can then kind of take note of that and then give that as whole class feedback at the start of the next lesson. So yeah, that's something that I aim to do quite a lot this year. Also maybe giving the children like a self-assessment kind of thing, so perhaps with their success criteria you can kind of have a self-assessment kind of chart for them to tick or kind of dot perhaps if they've understood something or haven't understood something, because then that will kind of help you within your marking and perhaps make it a bit quicker if you know that there are certain areas that they didn't understand that you can then focus on within the marking. Also get your TA to help with the marking. That's really helpful. If they're available or if they're working with a particular group, get them to mark that group or to go around and help you as well. I'm kind of aiming to work for half of my lunchtime, so if that includes marking, just try and get that done as quickly as possible, and then to obviously have the rest of the lunchtime to have a break. and just kind of use time when the children are doing something else. So I know at my school they have kind of a 10-minute arithmetic thing at the end of a maths lesson. So within those 10 minutes, because they're working on that independently, that would then give me time to start marking their maths work that they've already done. So next, Miss RNQT has said she's going into year 5 the same as me, and she is worried about subject knowledge. So yeah, I think it is like a bit of a worry, especially for Upper Key Stage 2, kind of knowing everything subject knowledge wise. I was particularly worried when I went into year 5 on placement, and I thought, wow, I'm definitely not going to know everything, particularly with maths. That's not my strong point. But actually it really wasn't as bad as I thought at all. In terms of maths, because I wasn't as confident with that, I went to the subject lead and she helped me loads with it, taught me how to do things, taught me how to teach it, and then it was absolutely fine. So I think that would be the same with any subject you're not feeling too confident with. Maybe go to the subject lead and find out a little bit more, get them to teach you it a little bit, and then you know how to then teach it to the children. And also I think like a lot of things you can just ask the children. Like, there's always going to be children that know the answers, especially with, you know, things like maths or grammar, things like that. A lot of them already know stuff. So, you know, if you're a little bit unsure about something, just be like, oh, can anyone tell me this? And then often they will give you something back. So, you know, sometimes that's useful to use. Obviously you've got your TA as well, they might know stuff. So it's always helpful to kind of bounce ideas and things off of them as well. But generally I'd say, like, don't panic about it. You kind of learn things as you go. I'm teaching World War II, for example, as my first history topic, and I did it at A level, but that was completely different to what I will now be teaching in year 5. So although I felt like, oh yeah, that's fine, like I already know loads about World War II, I actually need to kind of strip it back quite a lot for it to be year 5 level, not A level. So yeah, so although, you know, some things you may know, you're still going to have to kind of revise it and look it up in terms of what the curriculum is asking you to do, or what your school want you to do for a particular topic. So yeah, obviously there's a lot to learn, but I think generally you're just going to learn it as you go. And for me that's quite exciting, like learning new things all the time. So yeah, I really wouldn't panic too much about it. I think we'll be fine. So I'm now going to move on to the trainee to be questions. So the first one is kind of similar in terms of subject knowledge. So this is from Tia Solomon, and then Maria also said something similar. So they're both sort of worried about subject knowledge and that they kind of don't feel clever enough. I really, yeah, again, wouldn't worry loads about it, because I think you do learn as you go. So, and I've said this before, in my opinion, there is really no point in revising something now that you either may not teach at all in your training year, or you may not teach until the summer term. So yeah, like last year I had to do a skills test, which I know you don't have to do anymore, but I had to do that for English and maths to then be able to get onto my course, and so I had to revise a lot for that. And then I thought, oh, it's fine, like I've revised all that, hopefully I'll then remember everything ready for when I come to teach those kind of things in Key Stage 2. And yeah, I didn't remember any of it because it was such a long time after I'd actually revised it all. So I then had to revise it again. So I would say, although, yeah, you could be panicking right now about the things that you need to know ready for whatever year groups you're going to be teaching, but it is best just to do it as you go, because then it's fresh in your mind and you'll know exactly what to do at the time. I have done some posts on some books that I would recommend getting for subject knowledge and to help you with your teaching of those subjects. So I've got some for English, Maths and Science, I believe. So I'll make sure that the links for them are in the video. But yeah, generally I think you just need to be one step ahead of the children, and then you will be absolutely fine. So don't panic about it. There's obviously lots to learn, but you've got a whole year to do that within your training year, so that's kind of what it's all about. You will probably also have subject audits within your training that you have to complete, so within that you'll be revising quite a lot. So I'd say now the time is to relax, so then, you know, ready for when you do those audits, you'll just be revising what you need to learn for that. So Maria has also asked, what can we expect from the PGCE? So I have done several posts with my friend Miss A, and we have kind of explained how our course was structured, how the placements worked, how the uni side of things worked, loads of different posts about it. So I'll make sure that they're all linked in this video for you. I also did a live with Miss Wright for one of the teacher training lives, and in that I kind of explain in more detail about my course as well, so I'll make sure there's a link to that too. So I won't go into too much detail now because you can go and look at those things that I've already done, but generally my course at Cambridge, we had kind of blocks where we were at uni and then blocks where we were on placement, and then now and again we'd come back to uni for a few days and then back to placement, but generally, yeah, it was in blocks. So at uni you'd have lessons on the different subjects, and then you'd also have stuff about your assignments and also professional studies as well. I then had 3 placements, or should have had 3 placements. So I had one short one which was 4 weeks long, a longer one which was 8 weeks, and then I should have had another 8-week placement. Obviously didn't get that far. So I chose to do the Key Stage 2 route, so that meant that my 2 longest placements were in Key Stage 2. So my first one was in Upper Key Stage 2, so then that meant my last one would have been Lower Key Stage 2, and then my short 4-week placement, that was in Key Stage 1. But obviously if you were doing it the other way around, it would all be kind of the other way around, if that makes sense. There was also an early years course as well. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, but yeah, like I say, go and look at the links that I have put in this video for you. So Sophia Mahmood, she has said, as a trainee I get anxious about asking TAs to do something. How can I overcome this? So I think mainly remember that your TAs are there to help and support the children. So if you are wanting them, you know, to do something with a certain group or a certain child or whatever it is you need them to do, it is their job. That is exactly why they're there. So don't be scared to tell them what to do, because that's kind of what they need. Otherwise they're just going to be like, well, you didn't tell me to do anything, so I had to make it up. So yeah, generally just kind of tell them where you need them, and I'm sure they will be more than happy to do it. Try and build like a relationship with them, so find out more about them, kind of how they work best, the kind of things that they like to do best, whether they like to take a small group out of the room, whether they like to stay in the room, whether they prefer kind of doing one-to-one things, if there's anything that they like to take control of maybe in the classroom, anything like that. Just try and get to know them and then kind of work out what would work best with your kind of working relationship. So obviously they are there to support you as well as the children, so don't be afraid to ask them to help you. It may be that you need them to, you know, laminate something or to cut out some sheets, whatever it might be, but I would say those kind of jobs, try not to ask them to do that too much. Obviously if they're free and you're teaching, maybe they would be able to do those jobs then, but I would say avoid getting them to do those kind of jobs all the time, because they're kind of the mundane things. But if it means that it's going to save you time and you haven't got the time to do it, then obviously ask them, because they're going to be happy to do it. Just generally show that you appreciate their help, say thank you, and yeah, I think that they'll be grateful for your help as well. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that it has helped some trainees and some NQTs as well. Thank you.